everyone. My name is Lisa Harris. I'm the founder of Ladies Like Us and Lady Babalu Fitness Wear. I have a doctorate in traditional naturopathy, a master's in professional counseling. I'm a certified wellness coach and a certified colon hydrotherapist. I have a certificate in plant-based nutrition. I'm the author of Rebuilding the Temple, a practical guide to health and wellness, which you can find on Amazon. I'm also the founder of the 5 Pillars of Wellness. I developed the 5 Pillars of Wellness Teacher's Manual, and I'm also the author of the book 5 Pillars of Wellness, The Key to Living a Balanced Life, which will be coming soon, also on Amazon. What does it mean to be healthy? Healthy is defined as merely having good health, not being sick or injured. Now let's say a person goes to the doctor and they get a clean bill of health. There's no medication needed, no suggestions made, just a pat on the back and a keep up the good work. Now this person, according to medical standards, is healthy, but are they whole? Let's say, for instance, this is a woman. Now she may be dealing with stress on her job. There may be some marital stress. There may be some dating stress if she's in a dating relationship. There may also be some interpersonal issues that she's dealing with. In addition to that, she may eat unhealthy, even while she's exercising, maybe just to maintain her figure or to get out of the house. She is fatigued and sleeps poorly, despite the fact that she goes to bed at a decent hour, so she's always tired. Now, she may have a very busy schedule and lots of commitments, but little to no social outlets. But she's always busy in her community. Now, she may juggle all of this until medical symptoms arise. Her doctor is unsure as to what's going on medically because really these things are not medical issues. So they do not come up in their discussions at her, yearly checkup or her, doctor visit for whatever reason. They don't come up until symptoms arise. And then when the symptoms do arise, she's given a prescription medication to address the symptoms, never really looking at the root cause of why those symptoms are there in the first place. Now that we've addressed what it means to be healthy, what does it mean to be whole? Wholeness is defined as being an undivided or unbroken completeness, or totality with nothing wanting. So in essence, we cannot truly be healthy if we are not whole. Being healthy is only one component of being whole. Now I like Psalms 139:14 that says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Now the last part states that this is something we know, but unfortunately, many of us fall short in one or more areas, or we see one area as being more important than the others. I believe that there are 5 components that must be in balance in order to be whole. I've coined them the 5 pillars of wellness. Now let's look at these 5 pillars of wellness. The first one is relationships. Now, I like to look at these as interpersonal relationships. This is our everyday interaction with others, whether it be at work or casual encounters, maybe at the grocery store, the dry cleaner, anyone we encounter during the day, or it can be relatives and friends. The second pillar is intimate relationships. Now, this is self-explanatory. It's whether you're in a marriage or you're in a dating relationship. We know that imbalance in this area can cause a great deal of stress and turmoil in our lives. The third pillar is emotional well-being, and it's the one that we'll talk a lot about in this presentation. This is the core of who we are, and it determines how we navigate through life. If this area is out of balance, it can and it will affect every area of our life. The fourth pillar is health. Now, our health, we know, is our state of being physically well. This too can hinder us in various areas of our lives. So it's important to note that everyone's state of health is different. Someone may be dealing with diabetes, someone may be dealing with heart disease, someone may be dealing with obesity. It's different for everyone, but we can all reach a state of health. Now, the next one, the final one, is nutrition. And often nutrition is lumped together with health, but they are totally different. Nutrition is the process of providing or obtaining food necessary for health and growth. So, we need nutrition in order for us to be healthy. We also need nutrition in order for us to be emotionally well. And we will go on and we'll talk about that through this presentation. So, what is stress? Stress, as it relates to our emotions, is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension from adverse or demanding circumstances. Now, with that being said, let's face it, we all deal with some form of stress. Stress is a part of life, but poor nutrition and lifestyle choices contribute to stress, creating stress syndrome and affecting our immune system, creating immune dysfunction. Now, I wanted to talk about some statistics. According to the APA, there's research that shows a connection between stress and food. Now, we all know that when we're under stress, many of us have the tendency to seek out high fat, high calorie foods. You know, those things that we call comfort foods: the cookies, the cakes, the ice cream, the chips, the things that make us feel better, right? But here's the thing, when we're stressed, our body stores more fat than when we were relaxed. So if we're eating those type of foods and we're under stress, we're storing that fat in our body. So if we're someone that's dealing with health issues, or if we're someone that's dealing with overweight or being obese, then eating those foods to deal with the stress is causing additional harm to our bodies and may lead us to diseases associated with being obese or overweight. Now, the American Psychological Association says that 38% of adults report overeating or unhealthy eating food in the past month due to stress. They also stated that 33% of those adults say that this type of eating helped them become distracted from the stress that they were dealing with. But after having eaten the unhealthy foods, half of those adults report feeling disappointed in themselves, 46% reporting feeling bad about their bodies, and more than one third, 36%, say they felt sluggish. Even some said they felt lazy after consuming such foods. So, yeah, in the beginning, those unhealthy foods may make us feel better. They may give us comfort temporarily, but in the long haul, in the long run, they affect us emotionally and they may affect our health as well. How stressed are you? Think on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being super stressed out and 1 being very calm or relaxed. Where do you fit in? How stressed are you? Another question: how do you notice stress in your body? What are the signs or the symptoms that your body gives off to let you know that you are stressed? And then, what are some of the mental effects of stress? So, some of the mental effects of stress are volatile emotions, social conflict, restlessness, forgetfulness, mental sluggishness, agitated or anxiety, fatigue or irritability. We may experience some of them or all of them at different times. Different stress levels may create different symptoms or different signs. So begin to know when your stress level is at a place where you are about to experience some of these things. So, what is it that causes stress? In a simple statement: imbalance or disharmony. There's some disharmony somewhere. But the great thing about that, although we all deal with stress, nutrition is such an awesome tool to help us combat stress or to even keep stress at a level that we can manage. And so that's what we're going to talk about from this time on. We're going to talk about what foods are beneficial in dealing with stress. What nutrients does our body need to help us cope with stress? Prolonged stress has the ability to affect our adrenal glands. Now, these glands are directly responsible for our fight or flight response. Our adrenal glands make what we know as hormones, one of which is cortisol, and cortisol helps our body deal with the stress. It is believed that we go through 3 phases of dealing with stress as it relates to our adrenal glands. The first phase is when the we begin to experience stress and the glands enlarge and blood supply begins to increase. But as the stress progresses or continues, those same glands begin to shrink. That would be our second phase or stage. Then the third stage is what we know as adrenal exhaustion because it's no longer able to deal with the stress, the prolonged stress. And so that's when we begin to experience certain symptoms that are related to adrenal fatigue or adrenal exhaustion. And we want to make sure that we try to avoid getting to that phase. And that is why it's very important to begin to recognize what those symptoms are as they relate to adrenal fatigue. Some of the major symptoms of adrenal fatigue and exhaustion may be difficulty getting up in the morning. You may have to hit that snooze button 1, 2, or 3 times before you're actually able to pull yourself out of bed. Then once you're out of bed, you find it very hard to get started. As you begin to go through the process of your day, you find that you're fatigued throughout the day. If stressful situations arise, you may find it very difficult to deal with those stressors. But towards the end of the evening, you find that you have an increase of energy where you feel like you can do all kinds of things. You're not tired, you're not fatigued, you have this burst of energy and you try to use as much of that energy as you can while you're feeling it. Another symptom is possibly the overuse of stimulants such as caffeine. Now, there are some other possible symptoms such as anxiety. We may have dark circles under our eyes, dry skin, depression, extreme tiredness after exercising, frequent urination, insomnia, joint pain, loss of muscle tone, low blood pressure, and weight gain. And these are only a few of some of the things that we may experience when we're dealing with symptoms of adrenal fatigue or exhaustion. As I mentioned earlier, when we're under stress, many of us have the tendency to gravitate towards those foods that bring us comfort or temporary relief, those comfort foods. So, when you're dealing with stress, it's important to know those foods should be avoided. Such things as caffeine, alcohol, sugar, white flour products. That's your pastries, your cakes, your cookies, all of those things, your breads, preserved meats, so that's your lunch meat, your deli slices, those things, heavy spices and seasonings, all junk foods and fast foods. Those things should be avoided. One of the most important ways that anyone can remain in good health during stressful times is by following a correct diet. Along with avoiding these things, as I mentioned earlier, we can deal with stress more effectively. A good diet will give you the strength you need and keep your nervous system and immune system in great shape. So, as you begin to deal with stress, because we all do, we all have stressful times, stressful events. It's important to remember these foods and that they should be avoided. And then we can learn to start eating those foods that are beneficial to dealing with stress. Okay, so let's talk about some vitamins that are beneficial in helping us to maintain a healthy stress level and dealing with stress in our life. The B vitamins are excellent for this. We have B1, which is thiamine, and it helps in maintaining a healthy mental attitude. B3, or niacin, assists in providing a greater ability to handle stress. B6, or pyridoxine, assists in manufacturing serotonin, which is helpful when we're dealing with stressful situations. B9, or folic acid, assists the brain in making serotonin. It's also very, very beneficial for energy. Then we have B12, cyanocobalamin, which is beneficial in creating melatonin and serotonin. And I want to focus on B9, or folic acid, today. And there's so many different foods that have this. I mean, not to say that they're not foods that have these other ones in them, but for the sake of time, I want to focus on B9, which helps us in making the serotonin and in energy. So when we're dealing with a stressful situation and we're feeling sluggish and we're feeling tired, we can use this along with these other vitamins to get the energy that we need to cope with the situation and to carry out our day. So let's take a look at folic acid. Folic acid gets its name from the Latin word folium, which means foliage, and this is because folic acid is found in leafy green vegetables such as kale, spinach, beet greens. We can also find it in beets, shards, and asparagus, as well as broccoli. Now, folic acid is very sensitive and can be easily destroyed with heat and light and things like that. So when we're eating it, we want to make sure it's well maintained. We want to make sure that it hasn't been sitting on the produce table for a very long time. We want to get it as fresh as possible. So let's look at some other things where we can find folic acid. In starchy vegetables, we can find it in green peas, garbanzo beans or chickpeas, potatoes, parsnips, okra, and artichoke. In the beans, we can find it in bean sprouts. We find it in lentils, mung bean, and soy. We can also find it in fruit, such as oranges, cantaloupe, pineapples, and berries, such as loganberries, boysenberries, and strawberries. The main thing to remember about folic acid is it is found in fresh, unprocessed food. So if you're getting processed food hoping to get the folic acid, you might not find the benefits. But if you're buying it fresh from maybe your local farmer's market or you're growing it in your garden, it is very beneficial and you can get the folic acid that you need to help deal with the stress. Now let's go to the kitchen. Before we get started, I like to clean my fruits and vegetables with vinegar and water. I use a 3-part solution of vinegar and 1 part distilled water. And so what I do, I have my beet here that I'm spraying down, and I spray it all the way. Make sure I clean it off and get everything off. I have my strawberries and my other fruits and vegetables that I'm going to be cleaning. And once I'm done that, I take that and put that away, of course, and then I just rinse them, pat them dry, and they're ready for our juice. So let's get started. Okay, everyone. So now that we know that we can combat stress through nutrition, I wanted to leave you with a quick recipe on a juice that is rich in folic acid that will help you get the nutrients you need so that you can combat any stress that you're dealing with in your day-to-day life. So what I have here, I have my apples, and I've already pre-cut them. I have strawberries, beets. Now we know that beets are very rich in folic acid, and I have some of the greens here. And then I also have some kale. So what we're going to do is we're going to juice all of these things and make a wonderful beet juice that is going to be pleasant to the taste and to our ability to deal with stress. So what we have here now, I'm going to begin by, might have a little noise, but I want to make sure you get the full gist of what we're doing here. So here's my juicer here, and I'm just going to start by adding in some fresh apples, and these are all organic. My greens, I'm adding some of my greens here as well. Then again, we'll add strawberries. And these wonderful beets that we're going to add. That's going to give us all of the nutrients then in addition to that, we're going to add more of the greens so that we can get the folate that we need, this folic acid. And we know that the folic acid is going to come from all of these particular things. And what I used 10 small strawberries, 2 small beets, the stems and the greens of those beets, and 1 large apple. Now you can add another large apple if you want it. And then in addition to that, I added some kale. I want to see if you can see this beautiful red juice coming through here. Okay. So we have everything in there. And that's it. That's all we have to do. We take our fruits, our vegetables, and we get a rich, rich, powerful juice. I want to show you exactly what that wonderful, rich red juice looks like. So we get this rich, wonderful, beautiful juice that's filled with folic acid that's going to help us deal with the stressors in our lives. And that's going to be great to our palate. It's going to be great for our body. It's going to be great for our emotional well-being. So it is going to give us that balance that we need. Now, of course, we need to always eat healthy and exercise and get proper rest, but these things can help. What we put in our body is not only helping us physically, but it's helping us emotionally. So I hope you enjoyed this whole presentation. I hope you can take the things that was said today and begin to use them immediately so that you too can deal with stress with nutrition.